Welcome in.
Is there supposed to be audio with this, or?
Yes.
Yes, there is supposed to be.
I'm not hearing it. Am I the only one not hearing it?
No?
No, I'm
No,
not.
you're not alone.
Okay.
So
All right.
good
just wanna
morning,
check.
everyone. I know a bunch of you are logging in. We're having, as Zoom goes, some technical difficulties. Just hold in there with us, please. Thank you.
Industrial park, and we have tremendous exposure with customers that are looking for our services. As they're driving by, they notice the building, they see the trucks coming in and out.
Stony Brook University, Brookhaven National Lab, Cold Spring Harbor, the Feinstein Institute just bring us a wealth of information, both technically as well as just higher education.
What's the number one thing that every business owner in there needs, and that is talent. And so we've been working really hard to make sure that the businesses in the park have a pipeline to the talent coming out of the universities, and the universities have a direct pipeline into the jobs that are available in the park.
There's very talented mechanics, supervisors, and chemists who really help us drive the business, as well as facilities and the infrastructure, reliable electric, water, and the sewer system, which is critical to running this business.
The beauty of the Hop Park Industrial Park is it's built for industry, and so it has the infrastructure and the support that's needed. So the roads are wide and capable of letting trucks get in and out. There are support systems here between banks, shops, restaurants, whatever you would need to basically keep the people in your organization happy.
The park offers a wealth of resources to help your business grow and to answer some of the business challenges that owners face. It's Long Island, Suffolk County, best place to live, best place to raise a family, wonderful beaches, wonderful educational institutions.
There is no better place to work and live than on Long Island. And what better place to do it than in an innovation park that's producing companies where they're winning Academy Awards, Emmy Awards, where Nobel Prize laureates are doing research in collaboration with the major universities.
We have a place, the Long Island Innovation Park, that is just perfect for business. It's centrally located right in the middle of the island. It's got a cluster of amazing companies there and talent that is located there. Probably more innovation human capital than anywhere else in the country.
Nice.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the HIA-LI's 43rd, that's correct, 43rd Annual Meeting Legislative Program. This program is my favorite to kick off a new year, and we're kicking off 2021, and we're looking forward to getting through what we're in and for brighter days ahead of us. My name is Anthony Forgero. I am the Director of Business Development for the HIA-LI. To begin, we want to thank our HIA-LI Board of Directors, many who are on the webinar with us today. The board members play a critical role in moving our initiatives forward on a daily basis, and their support always through everything, including what we're going through right now, has been so welcome and so amazing. Next, we want to acknowledge our program sponsors. We're grateful for every one of them that are on that board. With the program sponsors their support is so vital to our organization, so vital to putting these programs together. So I want to thank each and every one that supported us for this program. Now it is my pleasure to kick off this morning's meeting with opening remarks from New York State's Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, and I'm honored to speak at the Hop Hog Industrial Association of Long Island's 43rd annual meeting. Thank you, CEO Leslie Maselli and Chairman Joe Campolo for the invitation to speak. I've enjoyed participating in your many events like the Annual Business Achievement Awards in September, and most recently, Those Who Make a Difference celebration in December. For over 40 years, we've all benefited from your advocacy as a powerful force for economic development. Just as we relied on you to help with the COVID effort, distributing masks, and in many other ways, as we emerge from this pandemic, we will rely on HIA-LI to be an important catalyst to jumpstart our economy. Your member companies represent over 55,000 business professionals and employees, and we need your members to succeed, for their success is directly tied to the success of the regional economy and indeed the state of New York. There's no question that the COVID-19 pandemic has devastated many of our businesses, our economy, and many individuals. And that's why we remain committed to investing in economic development, job training, and child care programs to ensure that the workforce of HIA-LI has the opportunities and resources to build back Long Island. With vaccines now available to the priority populations, we're starting the hard work of building a path forward past the COVID-19 pandemic for a stronger economy. Together, we will build back better and stronger to make Long Island a better place to live, work, and do business. We'll rebuild hope with new jobs and new opportunities, and we'll get through this pandemic together. We'll build back stronger and smarter for a better future. Let's keep that spirit alive as we move New York forward together. Thank you.
So I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor Snow. She's really been very supportive of our organization. But I do want to, that leads me up to, I want to read a letter that she did send to Richard Human. So let me read it now. Dear Mr. Human, congratulations on your recent appointment to chairman of the HIA-LI. I am confident that your experience in corporate management and as president and CEO of H2M Architects and Engineers, you will make a great chairman. For the past 40 years, HIA-LI has championed economic growth and opportunity on Long Island to tens of thousands of business professionals. And with your leadership, HIA-LI will continue to succeed. I've enjoyed the opportunity to partner with the HIA-LI over the last several years to boost economic development on Long Island, and I encourage you to continue to build on the partnership HIA-LI has nurtured throughout the years. Thank you, Kathy. That is wonderful. Now it is my pleasure to welcome to speak the managing partner of Campolo Middleton McCormick and past HIA-LI chairman, Joe Campolo.
Thanks, Anthony, and good morning, everyone. I am Joe Campolo, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our annual meeting and legislative program. For the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of serving the HIA-LI and the Long Island business community as the chair of the board, and it has been an honor of a lifetime. As my term as chair now ends, and as we embark on a new and hopefully more prosperous year, I'm proud to continue to serve on the HIA-LI board and chair of the Long Island Innovation Park at Hauppauge Task Force. This task force is comprised of stakeholders and decision makers from both the public and private sectors who will work together to help ensure the park is being utilized in the most productive way and to help boost the Long Island and the entire region's economy. Unlike many other task forces that exist, this one will be rolling up its sleeves and getting things done. 2020 tested all of us, to say the least, and things didn't magically go back to normal when the calendar turned to 2021. Fortunately, Long Island has proven that we are a community of leaders. The way the business community adapted to the realities of the pandemic, took a deep breath and kept moving forward, rather than being paralyzed by fear, is a testament to the strength of our human spirit. The dedication of our colleagues and neighbors is an example to our country and to the world. And while the national news would have us believe that humanity has turned on its head, we Long Islanders know we are more united than ever. We may have our disagreements, but in the end, we have all stuck together and helped each other through what will likely be the toughest year of our lives, and gave new meaning to the hashtag Long Island Strong. Through it all, we have also seen that Long Island is a national model for how business and government should partner, and that bipartisan cooperation with our elected officials is how we on Long Island operate and get things done.
Terry and I spent a good part of this year interacting with many elected officials and agencies to advocate for the business community, and never once did politics come up or get in the way. There was only a true desire from all to want to help make our economy as robust as possible while keeping our families safe. Again, notwithstanding what the national news would have you believe, here on Long Island, there were no Democrats, no Republicans, only people helping other people and families helping other families. In today's world, this is a huge accomplishment and something we as Long Islanders should be aware of and proud of. So while our recovery continues to be a long and daunting road, our belief in our country and our democracy must remain strong. And we must continue to oppose injustice at every turn, but also to oppose hypocrisy with the same passions. Our resolve must remain fierce, and our efforts must be relentless in order to move our economy and our initiatives forward. To help guide those efforts, we at HIA-LI are lucky to have my good friend, Rich Human, President and CEO of H2M Architects and Engineers, be our next board chair. Rich is a smart and well-respected leader, and most importantly for this position, he has been a tireless advocate for the Long Island and regional economy. His deep knowledge of Long Island and its infrastructure will be invaluable as we rebuild our way past COVID. And so, in our own version of a peaceful transfer of power, I'd like to introduce my friend and HIL Board Chair, Rich Human.
That was great, Joe. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And welcome everybody to our annual meeting. It's great to be with all of you this morning. Hopefully you and your families are all safe and doing well during the pandemic. Special thanks this morning to our elected officials who were able to join us live, although virtually today. We have our Congressman Lee Zeldin, our new New York State Senator Mario Matera, our Assemblyman Michael Fitzpatrick, and Nassau County Executive Laura Curran. This is one of my favorite events of the year that HIA-LI puts on. And although I know I would love to be, in person, networking, talking with all of you, the fact that we've been able to still put together, I think, a great program for all the members today is a continued testament to the HIA-LI. I appreciate the faith that the board's put into me, and I'm proud to be chairing this great organization. Tremendous thanks to our outgoing board chair, Joe Campolo. Joe, his never-ending commitment and his passion to driving the HIA-LI to new heights is something that has been inspiring to me. And I frankly don't know a person who, volunteers to chair an organization who has put as much time and effort as Joe has into just causing us to, really become a leading voice for business in our region. We've accomplished much under his leadership over the past 3 years. My intention is to continue to apply myself in whatever way I can to continue to drive us forward, building on the foundation that Joe has helped lay for us. So, to my friend Joe, thanks. And I will be calling on you, as you know. With the HIA-LI, we had big goals for 2020. And the year really evolved into one of survival as opposed to continued achievement of expectations. I can't say enough about Terry and her team. Terry's leadership has really allowed us to proactively maneuver ourselves through the challenges of the pandemic, all the while innovating new strategies to continue to bring value to the members of the HIA-LI and our region as a whole. We're not out of it yet, but together, I believe we'll be able to strengthen ourselves. We'll be nimble. We'll get the most out of this new year. So I'm really looking forward to my partnership with Terry. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the president of the HIA-LI, Terry Alessi Maselli. You're muted, Terry.
So good morning again, everyone. Thanks, Rich. Looking forward to working with you to continue this momentum. Happy New Year to everyone, and hope you're staying healthy and Long Island strong. I have to say, I am so proud that in 2020, through this pandemic, the HIA-LI made a conscious effort to stay open, to stay relevant, and to keep you all engaged. Know that we are here with you every step of the way, continuing to really disseminate some really important information as it relates to the state, as it relates to the county. And we know we're in this together, and we believe that we will come out of it even stronger and even better than ever. So many people to thank for this year. Certainly the dignitaries, not only those of you who are with us as panelists, but I know many are watching. Long Island business cannot make it without you, particularly now in your advocacy. So we appreciate it. You've been with us every step of the way. To our board and our executive committee, they have stayed in touch, engaged. You know, our ability to stay open this year is a true testament to our board members and our executive committee, and I'm privileged to be working with them. To Joe Campolo, a friend, a mentor, a leader. Joe, could not have done it without you. And as I said before, I'm equally honored really to be working with Rich Human here to keep up this momentum. To my staff, I know many of them are behind the scenes right now who went through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as we all did this year, and just didn't skip a beat because of our belief in the Long Island business community. And to all of you, to our members, we saw you do some remarkable and continue to do some remarkable things as it related to repurposing your plants, providing PPE, helping with guidance and stimulus funds, and it really has made all the difference. So as we look at 2020, we had many accomplishments. Certainly one of them was our major stride in advocacy and continues advocacy for the Long Island Innovation Park at Hop Hog, with our partners in the town of Smithtown and the Suffolk IDA and the Long Island Regional Planning Council and many, many more. We were able to help create a mixed use overlay district for apartments that will allow many professionals to live and work and play. We continue our collaboration with Suffolk County with their health and safety initiative to really help some vulnerable population understand COVID and its safety. Many of our manufacturers employ that vulnerable population. So I want to thank Joe Campolo and his task force members. They created a path and they never missed a beat in that momentum. So in 2021, we will continue that. Thank you also to our small business task force led by Rita DiStefano and her task force members. They quickly pivoted and they built a Getting Back to Business series that will also continue in 2021. So you'll see a lot of opportunities in 2021. As Rich alluded to, we've been fast and furious with our innovation. You'll see on February 1st, we will launch what's called a premium online marketplace. It is one of a kind. It will allow you as members to look at your organizations and showcase your businesses online. We know virtual is here to stay. We'll be doing podcasts. We'll be doing industry surveys. And just last week, we partnered with Suffolk County for their vaccine distribution initiative, where our ultimate goal is to help them create a Suffolk County pod where many of our organizations inside and outside of the park can have their employees go to get vaccines. So a lot of good things going on. Despite it all, we have a lot to be grateful for. I hope you feel the same way. And we know that 2021 has proven to be challenging, but we also know despite the political unrest and despite the supply right now or lack of supply right now in vaccine, we have so much promise and hope. And we have promise and hope because of all of you. So I encourage all of you to get involved in the HIA-LI. Now is the time to do that, now more than ever. We look forward to working with you. And I have the pleasure of turning this over to our treasurer, Mr. Bob Corte. Bob? And I think we lost Mr. Bob Corte just as he was being able to speak. Yep, there he is.
I'm sorry.
It's
For some reason, I keep losing a connection. Thank you, Terry. Good morning, everyone. I will say Happy New Year. In due respect to Joe Campolo, it's a little joke back and forth with us, but I do wish everyone a Happy New Year. Certainly 2020 was a year like no other. The organization, HIA-LI, has had so many really great things happen. We had a steady stream of income through 2019. We've got so many projects that we've been working on that we've fulfilled. And we were really poised in 2020 to continue to do great things. But as everyone knows, due to COVID-19, like many associations and businesses across our region and state, we did realize a significant decrease in revenues. As with most associations, the HIA-LI, we had to cease face-to-face meetings and events. And as a result, our normal steady sources of revenue from advertising, sponsorships, and fundraising became major challenges. Despite all this, through our tireless efforts, and I credit Terry and her staff and at times a skeleton staff, we were ultimately able to pivot quickly, keep our doors open, and with those very limited resources, continue to be there for our member companies and the Long Island business community. We all agree that organizations like ours boost and nurture local economic development. We keep Long Island's economy churning, and businesses need our help now more than ever. And that's why we need to continue to be at the forefront. And we promise we'll make that commitment to continue to do that. Certainly, we're cautiously optimistic for 2021, certainly in our ability to have person-to-person meetings and events. Who knows when that will happen? But we will continue to be the resource for Long Island business community in future. And please know, we are here. We will continue to be here to serve our members in the Long Island business community. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to turn it over and introduce the 2021 HIA-LI Secretary, Kevin O'Connor.
Bob, thank you, and good morning and Happy New Year to you too. So I guess I stand between you and the actual program, so I will get through the, I'm required to announce our elected executive committee, our board of directors, and welcome some new directors. So I'll jump right into that. Obviously, you've heard we've had a challenging year, but incredible things have been done. And the people that are part of this executive committee have been a big part of it. So it's with my pleasure to announce our executive committee being chairperson of the board, Rich Human from H2M Architects. First vice chairman, Karen Allen from People's Alliance Federal Credit Union. Second vice chair, Anthony Mineta from Cedar Communities. Bob Corte is our treasurer, and I will serve as your secretary. Certainly, this is a strong committee. And we hope to continue to build on the work that's happened this year. Re-electing board members this year is Karen Allen from People's Alliance, John Bauer, Joe Garofolo from Island Community Christian Church, Chris Kent from Farrell Fritz, Ann Chabunko Moore from GSE Dynamics, Scott Maskin from Sun Nation, and Robert Isaacson from Bank of America. I congratulate them all and look forward to working with them this year. New members this year is Alan Sassarat. He's voted in the board this year. And I welcome Alan from Sassarat Zorian LLP. And with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Joe to begin the program. So thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. And I do want to give a shout out to Terry and her staff. She's humble when she talks about how difficult this year has been. But again, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, one of the many lights at the end of this tunnel that we've gone through this year, at least for us here on Long Island, is a renewed sense of faith in our businesses and in our elected officials. You know, I think you learn about people more in the trying times than you do in the good times. And so last January, when we were having this program, who knew what we'd be talking about this January, and who knew that we would have gone through this last 12 months as we did. I want to welcome two new faces here this year that are joining us. County Executive Laura Curran, welcome, and newly elected Senator Mario Matera. Mario, good to see you, and congratulations Look, there's no agenda, right? There's only one thing we need to be talking about, and that is COVID, vaccine, health, and keeping business open and safe while we continue to get through this. I see Congressman Zeldin's box, but I don't see his face. Oh, there he is. Lee, good morning. How are you? You're muted, Lee. I'm going to start with you on the federal level, right? In terms of vaccine rollout, in terms of economic stimulus, and in terms of is Chuck Schumer going to be good for New York economic recovery? Right. That's a loaded question for you, but I know you can handle it, Lee. So let's talk about those things.
Well, thank you, Joe. And first off, to your point about this past year and what happened here locally being a little bit different than what we've seen in other parts of the state and country, is that here locally in Suffolk County, on Long Island, we all approach this together, all levels of government, in and out of government, not as Republicans or Democrats, but we were Long Islanders first. And that partnership, I think, was really a model that would have been great if it was replicated everywhere else in the country. But at least here locally, what I saw at every level of government, every single elected official and all of the amazing partners out of government, that partnership was the way to go. As far as where we are on the three parts of your initial question here on the vaccine rollout, it has not been good so far. It's important when you are communicating to New Yorkers with a limited supply, where you have this supply and demand issue, that people are experiencing as few bumps in the road as they can. And unfortunately, we've heard many issues here early, primarily because of the supply and demand issue. This is something that, as there's a lot of really smart people here tuning in to listen to Joe and Lee speak for a couple minutes before we get to other amazing, great elected officials, far smarter than I am. But what you all know is, as we get more supply, as the Johnson & Johnson vaccine gets across the finish line here, hopefully over the next few weeks, and the two where we have approvals already are continuing to increase their production and distribution, then more people are getting vaccinated. Less people who need the vaccine most, first and foremost, will be upset that they haven't gotten vaccinated yet. And hopefully, if you and I, if we were all gathered for a conversation and it was 2 or 3 months from now, hopefully we'd be able to be singing the praises of just how much progress has been made here over the course of the first quarter of 2021. Around the middle of 2020, the view was it was overly optimistic. Many people were saying it was unrealistic. It was actually formally being fact checked when people were saying that we may have a vaccine by the end of the year. Here we are now at the beginning of 2021. We certainly have 2 vaccines that are pumped out. There's one more about to get across the finish line. The key is not just producing more, distributing more, but also having excellent communication with New Yorkers to make sure that some of the bumps that we're experiencing hopefully get ironed out here very, very soon. Secondly, with regards to the discussion about economic stimulus, Congress just passed about a month ago a pretty robust stimulus package. Many aspects of that stimulus bill have not actually even yet been spent. And now there's talk about doing a next bill. And, that's good to have the conversation as far as what's next. We just identified in the first part of your question, what would be most important at the moment is getting these vaccines out to everybody who wants one. But as far as this next package goes, state and local government aid is a centerpiece of the talks. Schooling is a centerpiece of the talk. And one of the big question marks is a decision to be made as far as process. Now, in 2020, there were two bills that were passed in the House it was called the HEROES Act. There were two versions of it. There was the HEROES Act, which passed in the spring. There was HEROES Act 2.0 that passed in September. And it included what has been referred to as poison pills. And that's why you saw a lot of Republicans not be able to vote for that bill. Notice there's a whole lot of legislation that got passed in 2020 where Republicans and Democrats worked together. I'm putting aside all of the good partnership just to talk about this one bill because it's important to take into context in trying to predict the path forward. It includes some items related to elections. Some people might strongly support nationwide legalization of what's referred to as ballot harvesting. Some may strongly support what would be a nationwide prohibition on voter ID. Some may strongly support providing stimulus checks to people who aren't in the country legally. And there are other examples who aren't in the country legally, and there are other examples like that. But I will tell you that these are very controversial issues in Washington. And these are issues where, if that's part of this next bill, we'll have a little bit of a replay likely of what we experienced with HEROES Act and HEROES Act 2.0. Now, alternatively, if the process is one where Democrats are engaging with Republicans, like what we saw with the CARES Act or what we saw with this December bill and a couple of other big bills that passed in between, you have a really good chance of getting bipartisan support for a next bill. There's a decision to be made by the new Senate Majority Leader, as you just mentioned, from here in New York, or Senior Senator Chuck Schumer, as to what changes might be made with regards to the filibuster, what rules might be used, what sometimes referred to as budget reconciliation. Do they try to go at this alone? Democrats just try to get this done without working with Republicans. Now, do they feel like there's a viable path there to do this without Republicans, or would they feel like the best way to do it would be to try to get a big bipartisan vote? That decision hasn't been made as far as I know. And that's going to be key in order for me, Joe, to predict to you the path forward, the timeline, the votes, and the content. But I would say the two biggest items that are being discussed as far as pots of money, state and local aid and funding for schools. And obviously that's not it, but those two are likely the largest. As far as the funding goes to state and local governments, I introduced Antonio Delgado, Senator Schumer, and Senator Gillibrand have been pushing this in the Senate, called the Direct Support for Communities Act. This legislation would be a funding formula to use for the distribution of state and local government aid, because the CARES Act only provided funding for municipalities larger than 500,000 population. Some people favor reducing that to 50. Others, such as myself, support having no population cap minimum at all, which would mean that you can drive support to local towns and villages here all throughout Long Island. Brookhaven Town is just under 500,000 population. That means that they got nothing in the CARES Act funding. The town of Hempstead, with a population a little more than 500,000, they got over $100 million. So riddle me that one, right? Brookhaven Town is just a little bit smaller than Hempstead, and one got 0 and one got over 100 because of that population cap. So the Direct Support for Communities Act would drive it to all of our local towns and villages, and it's the right way to distribute these pots of money. As far as Senator Schumer goes, listen, there's one thing, and Senator Schumer and I, we've disagreed on a lot, and there are other items that we've worked closely together with, and that's the right way for us to represent our mutual constituents. I'm sure that he will fight for New York. That's his job, and that's been his legacy. To his credit, I'll tell you that there have been times. I mean, there are issues. I talk to colleagues, and they won't ever see their senator in their district ever. Like, go back 10 years and say, I never saw Senator so-and-so in my district. There are times where I'll see Senator Schumer 3 times in 1 month in the 1st Congressional District. And at the same time, he's in he might be in 6 other places around New York at the same exact time, speaking at other high school and college graduations. So I'm sure that he, as the Senate Majority Leader, is not going to forget where he came from. That's my hope. That's been my experience working with him. And hopefully he will continue to fight the good fight for New Yorkers.
Great, thanks, Lee. I want to turn to our county executives. Unfortunately, Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone, who is always at this event, was unable to make it, but he did prepare some remarks that I'd like to just play right now, and then we'll turn to County Executive Karen for her comments.
Hi, I'm Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone, and it's my pleasure to be joining all of you for the virtual HIA Long Island annual meeting and legislative program. Thank you to the HIA President and CEO, Terry Alessi Maselli, for your continued leadership, and to the Board of Directors and Chairperson Joe Campolo. I cannot thank you enough for all the important work the HIA does in promoting business development at the Long Island Innovation Park and for our economy and region as a whole. As we continue to navigate the COVID-19 pandemic, it is no secret that the past year has been incredibly challenging for all of us, but especially our local businesses who had to pivot, adapt, and alter many of their operations quickly in the spring. Guidelines were constantly being developed and shifting, creating unprecedented challenges and financial hardships for our local businesses. But together we have weathered the storm, and with the COVID-19 vaccine finally here, even though there are still difficult days ahead, we can now envision the day when we can declare that we have defeated this virus. And when that day finally does arrive, we want to be in a position to recover as quickly as possible. So just as we were a resource for businesses in the spring, the county will continue to advocate and provide any assistance we can, including through our Business Recovery Unit. Despite everything that we have faced, I am confident that we will get through this together and that this region will ultimately emerge better and stronger than ever before. Thank you.
It's good to hear his remarks. We in Suffolk right now are taking a beating on this thing, so we got to kind of all stand together on it. I want to turn to County Executive Laura Curran. So, Laura, thanks for joining us this year. It's really nice to have you a part of it. I do want to say that I was super impressed during this whole year how firm you stood in support of businesses. I think our members really saw that and appreciated that with you. I also want to thank you for giving us a moment of levity as you shared your love for tennis during the pandemic. It's all good. So I want to thank you for joining us and welcome you for your remarks as well.
Joe, thank you very, very much. So I'm here, I'm in Baldwin. It's my last day of quarantine. I had a close contact with a positive. I tested negative, and I feel like I have more empathy for most of America, what it's like to be setting up your office in the guest room and Zooming everywhere, but it's been fine. I'm ready to get back out there. And I really appreciate the invitation to be with you. It's strange that I have never been here before, so I want to come more often and be a part of this. I love what you do. And I also want to say to Congressman Lee Zeldin, thank you for getting the nuances of the CARES Act and how the money was divided in such a bizarre way. So thank you for fighting for the municipalities. I do very much appreciate it. And to Mario Matera, congratulations. This is my first time I get to speak to you as a state senator. So I think it's great. And I think you, coming from your background, really understand the importance of infrastructure and how robust infrastructure program can be part of our economic recovery. And the one thing about infrastructure that's very attractive is it makes a lot of jobs, it improves ways of getting around, it improves sewage, everything else, bridges, et cetera. It also has big bipartisan appeal. It's a winner. And so the more we can push it, the more we can get money flowing and get people to work and improve the roads. We have a lot of shovel-ready projects. Lee, I'm talking to you now. The shovel-ready projects We finished last phase of our family and matrimonial court. We have a huge sewage diversion project, which is getting going down on the South Shore. So any federal stimulus we can get for infrastructure, we'd be very, very grateful for. And I really do see that as part of our economic recovery. We've tried in Nassau to be as business friendly as possible, pre-COVID, during COVID, and of course, now that we're starting to pick up the pieces. We knew very early on, obviously, this would be a very serious health crisis that the county is very much on the front lines of managing. We're the ones with the health department and the contact tracers. We're the ones with the Office of Emergency Management. In Nassau County, we're the ones with the medics and the ambulances, social services, making sure we're organizing food drives and all of that sort of thing. So as we're managing the health crisis, we knew that there would be an economic crisis running right on a parallel track. So very early on in March, I put together an economic advisory council just to get input from everyone from developers to labor to chambers of commerce, nonprofits, whatever it may be. And I got a lot of good insight, and it actually helped me advocate better to the state for reopening of certain kinds of businesses. There was a lot of frustration, for instance, that real estate agents couldn't show properties in Nassau, in New York. They could go to New Jersey, they could go to Connecticut. And as we saw the exodus from the city, I was concerned we were going to miss out. So I said, if they can do it safely, we can do it safely. Same with construction. You know, essential construction was allowed, what was deemed essential was allowed, but not all construction. So the point was, if we can do it safely on essential, why can't we do other, what's considered non-essential safely as well? Pushing for things like malls and gyms, which I visited myself just to see the safety protocols that they put up, and really pushed for their safe reopening. Restaurants as well. I mean, we found that very little disease is traced back to restaurants. So when the city shut its restaurants again for indoor dining, that didn't make any sense to me. So I said very clearly, I'm going to have to fight that if that comes to Nassau County, because same as in the city, statewide, Nassau County, we're not tracing disease back to restaurants. And I have to really take my hat off to all businesses that have recalibrated, turned on a dime with partitions, with protocols, with spacing, with masking, all of that have done a great job. And we're not, so the result speaks for itself. We're not tracing disease back to the gyms and yoga centers and restaurants and places like that. One thing that we also wanted to do is sort of look at the silver lining of this and take advantage of the opportunity for outdoor dining. And so we saw in our downtowns, restaurants, parking lots, sidewalks, even streets restaurants becoming creative in how they use these spaces. So it created a lovely outdoor vibe. So we wanted to make it easier for downtowns that have a county road running through, with that being as their main street. And we did a pilot program to speed up the permitting process for the Department of Public Works and the police department to shut down a street. So we said, if you give us your proposal, we can shut down that street in a week so that you can do that outdoor, take advantage of that outdoor space as much as possible. So big talk right now, obviously, is vaccine, which the congressman touched on. He's absolutely right. We have a huge demand. We have hundreds of thousands of people in Nassau County who are eligible, but we're not getting the supply. We know that, I was listening this morning, we're concerned we're not going to meet the new benchmark because production just isn't happening enough. I know that everyone's working really hard on it. I know that the pharmaceutical companies are pumping it out as quickly as possible. So it's frustrating, but I would just ask everyone to be patient. I know everyone's working on it as hard as they can. It starts at the federal government. It comes down to us. It comes to the state, and then it comes down to us on the local level. But we need the top of the supply chain, the production, to really crank up. We know that Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca will be coming online. Those are 1 doses. So when I'm eligible, I think I'd probably just rather wait for the 1 dose, just 1 and done, and you're out. But that truly is the key to our economic recovery. Getting people who want to be vaccinated, getting them back to work, keeping our kids in school. I have seen, I have kids in middle school and high school. It's dreadful. I mean, they're home half of the time. It's a sedentary lifestyle. They're not socializing. This is not healthy. Not healthy for grown-ups, not healthy for kids. So the sooner we can put this thing in our rearview mirror, the better. We're managing as best we can. We have a wonderful Department of Health in Nassau County. We're as soon as we get those doses in, we're getting them out. We got an A+ 100% in terms of turning them around and getting them out. So we'll just keep it going and we can scale up. So I'm happy to stop talking now. I'm just looking at my notes to see if I have anything else. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who does business in Nassau County and on Long Island. Thank you for employing people. Thank you for growing the tax base. I know that it's challenging in normal times and even more challenging now, but I'm truly grateful. And when I say we're in this together, it's really true. So thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate you joining us and appreciate your comments. Mary, I want to turn to you. I know that you have another commitment, but I want to give you a chance. And then Lee and Mike, I want to talk about how we're going to pay for this all. That's Mike's favorite topic, I know. So we'll get there. But Mario, give us your perspective. You're a newly sworn in New York State Senator. It's a Republican senator in New York is the second loneliest position other than an assemblyman, right? So tell us your thoughts. What's been going on and what do you see?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank HIA and Long Island, President Terry Lissy. Joe, congratulations too. Thank you for doing such a hard, great job for what you've done all the years. Being in the what were you? Excuse me. You were the head right now, and we have the congratulations now the chairman, Rich Human. You were the chairman all that time, and I appreciate it very much. And really, I wanted to make sure to reach out to Jack Kolka, which has been a mentor to me. And I'm just hoping, that everything is going well with him. I know he's been going through a lot, and I'm just hoping that, in other words, Jack is going to recover. I hope he's going to be doing well. I've been speaking to Devin about Jack because Jack is our forefather with obviously a Hop Hog Industrial Park. We know that at what he's done. So, and again, I just want to thank all the board of directors also for all their hard work for what they've done with this park. This park is so important for the second Senate district. And I'm looking forward to being a partnership, to working with somebody, Mike Fitzpatrick in our area, working with, I was on the phone last night with our supervisor, Ed Wareheim, and constantly in touch with our council people also. And I know how important this is. It's a generator. It's a generator. This Innovation Park is a generator for revenue. It's a generator for jobs to make sure that we keep our talent here. So this is something that's very, very important to me. And I appreciate the invite and to speak here today to say, you know what, there it is. I'm 2 weeks right now as a New York State Senator and saying, okay, Mario, what are you going to do to protect jobs? What are you going to do to protect the small businesses? I'm going to do whatever I have to do to help promote, and especially to have one of the largest industrial parks in the whole country that is so important to our region. Just listening to, Congressman Zeldin, listening to our county executive, Laura Curran, Steve Malone. The most important thing right now is to make sure we get the confidence back with people to get this vaccine, moving forward. Our seniors are frightened. Our regular workforce is frightened. We just need, we have to make sure that this COVID-19 is behind us so we can move forward. These unprecedented times right now. So that's really the most important thing that's been happening. I know what Assemblyman Fitzpatrick and I, we've been talking about this and trying to make sure that, there's a rollout plan for our residents to make sure that they know where they're going to be going to receive the vaccine. One thing that we've been working on the last 2 weeks is to make sure that we had press conferences to say, let's have the Walgreens and let's have the CVS's and all the pharmaceuticals to make sure that they're going to be, vaccinating our residents and people for our future, so we can move forward. So we have the confidence back, because that's the most important issue right now for all of us. I'm looking forward to 2021 to move together. One thing that I feel is important with how we even move forward with the TriTech project over in the industrial park, which is very, very important with the apartments. I'm praying that that's going to move forward also too, because that was a great concept to make sure we work, we eat, we sleep, we play, and in the area that I'm going to commend HIA for that vision that wasn't there before, and to work with the town of Smithtown to get this moving forward. We must keep our talent here. We have our children that are leaving. That is the most important thing for our future. Infrastructure is very, very important to me. I'm very, very proud of the committees that I was actually selected to be put on. I am a ranker on consumer protection. I'm a ranker on corporations, authorities, and commissions. I'm on the committee for labor, and I'm on the committee for transportation, which we all know is infrastructure. So I am looking forward to that. Even working with that time with the county executive at the time, it was Steve Levy, move into Steve Balone with the industrial park, with your vision to make sure that we put the that sewage treatment plant on Hauppauge Industrial Park to move forward with the capacity, increasing the capacity, so we could go up with second stories to make sure that the Hauppauge Industrial Park is self-sufficient, self-reliant with the pharmaceuticals, with manufacturing. That's what's so important, how this park is a generator for our future. And that's something that I'm going to be working very close, and I'm giving a commitment right now that I'm going to be working with HIA in Long Island with Rich Human. I'm very excited. Look at you, what you have done, H2M. Look what we have done together, even with our little hamlet of St. James, to make sure design to put a dry sewer in. Yes, we don't know where it's going to go right now, but we are going to have a future. But we know what we did. It was good government. We made sure that that was installed with not just putting pavement down, not just putting concrete down. We made sure we put new water main in. You know, working with being on the board with Suffolk County Water Authority taught me a lot to make sure that we, you know, with preventive maintenance, to make sure that we put the infrastructure in place before anything happened that was going to cost our customers triple the amount. No, we made sure we were changing out the water mains. The miles of 6 million miles of pipe that we are changing out because it's over 50 years old. So the infrastructure is so important for our future. We did that in the Hauppauge Industrial Park that time with the Suffolk County legislators. We made sure that was put in effect, and look where we're going. We could go build up, but we need to make sure that we promote and do what we have to do to bring businesses in and make sure, obviously, the pharmaceutical pioneer of our region is HIA. So I am looking very, very much forward to working with all elected officials. I've listened to my, Congressman Zeldin. I appreciate him so much. Look what he's done with the collider out in the Brookhaven National Lab, $2 billion, not just the construction jobs, but look at the permanent jobs that's going to create. And that's how I look at the Innovation Park. I look at that as a generator. It's a huge generator to make sure we keep our talent here and to bring talent in from out to make sure that we're bringing growth in. And that's the most important thing right now. So again, COVID-19 is very important to all of us, but pretty much we need to make sure that we bring growth to the Hauppauge Industrial Park.
Great. Thank you, Senator. And really, again, congratulations. And we appreciate your commitment, as always, to the park, to labor, and to Long Island. So we wish you all the best in all that you endeavor. I want to make sure, Laura, do you have a few more minutes with us? How are you with time?
Hang on, I'll check.
All right, because what I want to talk about from
Yes.
the federal, state, great. I want to talk about from the federal, state, and county level how we're paying for this all, right? So I will say, Lee, I want to start with you. I want to say, first of all, hats off to the Congress with the CARES Act and making decisions so that it didn't unduly hurt businesses from a tax perspective, right? And I'm glad you guys took the IRS to task on that, but there's a whole lot of money being spent at the federal level. It's going to have to be paid back somehow, right? And I want to talk about that on a federal, state, and county level because where's it coming from? And business owners likely believe that it's eventually coming out of the businesses, and so that's making everybody very nervous. So Lee, I'll start with you, and then Mike and Laura, I want to get your perspectives on it as well.
Thanks for the question, Joe. First off, coming off of the CARES Act, one of the priorities that I heard from HIA was that HIA couldn't apply for PPP loans. So good news, at the end of the year in December last month, the last package added 501c6s, our chambers of commerce, can apply for that first draw of PPP, including HIA-LI, Discover Long Island, and some others. So that's good.
Right, let me just stop you right there, because you're being modest, okay? And Lee's being very modest, and I want everybody to understand that. We invite everybody. We invite every elected official to join us here. Lee's the only congressional representative that comes, and we're not even in his district. You know, and he's being modest about this 501c6 thing, because as soon as the CARES Act came out and we realized that that HIA-LI and other 501c6s weren't going to qualify, we went to Lee, and Lee went to bat for us. Lee went to bat for HIA-LI when we're not even in his district, right? And he did, and his staff worked very hard, and they got it as part of the revised CARES Act. So thank you very much for that, Lee.
Well, thanks for saying that. And so that means that I certainly must add a thank you to really Long Island congressional delegation, all sign on to the effort. Tom Swazi, Peter King, who is no longer in the House, Kathleen Rice, and that bipartisan partnership from the delegation helped. The other priority there at the end last month was to include deductibility for PPP. So all of your member companies that did get even those first draw loans, in addition to now being able to apply for a second draw loan, they possibly could qualify. Everyone was about to get hit very hard with having to pay taxes on the expenditures of the PPP funding. So that didn't make any sense. Unfortunately, that got fixed. To your question about how are we going to pay for this, I actually have a whole lot of criticism of both parties. It doesn't matter who's in charge at any given moment. The process is just screwed up in how we do budgeting in Washington. As opposed to just jamming through an appropriations bill negotiated at the highest levels where you're not using the committee process, you're not allowing any amendments or debate. Fortunately, I tell you what, I have never gotten more priorities for my district into one appropriations bill than I did last month. I mean, we got everything from Plum Island to 6 Army Corps projects. And I mean, that list goes on, and that's great. But process-wise, I think it would be better, our country would be better served if you start these appropriations processes earlier. If you know the government's funded until September 30th of 2021, how about we start right now as opposed to starting what feels like on September 29th, of 2021 to fund the next day. I also think that long-term budget planning needs to be taken more seriously, where if we're doing a budget 1 year at a time, I think that there's a responsibility on both parties when you're putting out a budget plan, to show a path to a balanced budget. Now, that's not for 1 year down the road or 4 years down the road, but like, how do you plan on having a balanced budget 8 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 12 years from now? Because if you just give up on that trajectory altogether, we're going very much in the wrong direction. I also say that a lot of this is driven by the will of the American people. Do you have the will to call on your congressional leaders to come up with that plan that puts us towards balance? Because you're not going to be spending as much funding. But that allows your members to maybe have a little bit more courage to have that talk. So if the American public doesn't really want Congress to be passing a bill this year, a funding bill this year that helps put us in that right trajectory, then that's going to also encourage a lot to go in the wrong direction, because you have a lot of members who are driven by the next upcoming election. That comes up every 2 years in the House, and the will of the American public should have a lot of sway in the decisions being made in Congress. And I will say that there is not a very heavy demand right now. There are some. Listen, at any day of the year, if you catch Michael Fitzpatrick in a conversation, he is ready to talk to you about the deficit and the debt and the budget and long-term planning. I will say that Mike Fitzpatrick, in wanting to have that conversation every day of the year, does not represent the readiness to have that conversation amongst most Americans, and that's one of the issues that we need to also make progress on. So I'll just very briefly say, as far as Social Security and Medicare goes, it's very important to protect it, to preserve it. For our seniors, those who are close to retirement, it needs to be there for them 100%. That's a value that we all must take to heart and follow through on. I do believe that we need to have a conversation about 50-year planning here on Social Security and Medicare. Bicameral, bipartisan commission talking now about what changes can be made now to make sure that, for the 15-year-old, Laura was talking about, those who may or may not have kids in middle school or high school. My daughters are in high school right now. And I'll tell you, Congress is definitely not planning for Social Security and Medicare when it's their turn. And instead, because of the lack of long-term planning, they're actually going to end up inheriting quite the opposite of a situation. And once again, that's about will of the American public in demanding Congress to have that conversation.
Thanks, Lee. Mike, so I want to talk to you about, deficits, pension, the market, that stuff. And then Laura, I want to talk about sales tax and the lack thereof that Long Island seems to be experiencing. And then I want to give everybody a chance to make their final points. So Mike, first of all, thanks for always being here for us. You are the stalwart legislative representative of HIA-LI. You're always in our corner, and we appreciate that so very much. And over the years, you and I have had a lot of conversations about pensions and about deficits. Thank God for many things, but also that the stock market hasn't crashed throughout all of this, because I think we would have seen pensions and a lot more devastation through it all. But what are you seeing on the state level, Michael, and how are we going to muscle our way through this?
Well, first off, thank you, Joe. Rich, thank you. Best wishes to you in your new role. And also best wishes to Jack, who helped found the HIA, a dear friend to all of us. Jack, good luck in 2021. We're rooting for you. Terry, thanks also for being there for all of us as elected officials. And Bob, thanks for keeping the organization in the black. But the state in the short term, the governor was, we really crashed because of the pandemic, and a lot of us were very worried, and there was a belief that the feds needed to provide a lot of help, and I think they will. However, that when the tide went out, if you will, because of the pandemic, you see who's swimming without trunks. And we do have some very real structural cost drivers that both parties refuse to deal with responsibly, and they need to be fixed. Taxes will probably go up, and I will oppose all of them, because to me, that is not the answer. And I'm very uncomfortable with increased gambling, 1,000 more video lottery terminals, adult use marijuana. I'm not comfortable with that at all. We're not making Long Island a better place to live by increasing dependence on those two activities, in my humble opinion. But tax revenues, PIT revenues were a little stronger than anticipated. So in the short term, I think we're going to be okay. However, we do have out-year deficits of about $15 billion over the next couple of years. And when the federal help dries up, again, we're going to need to deal responsibly with some of these issues. I don't think taxes are going to solve all of our problems. If the economy does suffer and the markets, start to, if the markets decline, we're going to have some problems meeting those pension payments. The contribution percentages are going to go up for Laura, Steve, and the 13 towns on Long Island. There are ways to fix that, and they are controversial because it requires a conversation with our public employee unions that we need to slow the growth rate, not take anything away from them, but we need to slow the rate of growth of some of these contract provisions. And some of them are antiquated and need to be reviewed. But again, that's, that will require some political will. And if the going gets tough, we're going to have to deal with those issues. But we have, in my opinion, Joe, this innovation park, the industrial park in Hauppauge is a thoroughbred racehorse when you think about it. The second largest industrial park after Silicon Valley. But in horse racing, sometimes, to level the playing field at the starting gate, some of the horses have to have additional weight put in their saddle to make it even. And in New York State, we put, instead of a jockey weighing 110 pounds, the jockey weighs 350 pounds in New York State. And that means we have a hard time competing with other states and other regions of the country. And we are losing people. We are losing businesses and having a difficult time attracting employers and encouraging employers to grow. So what we're doing, in the town of Smithtown with the overlay district is quite exciting. And it's absolutely necessary. And the study that you performed says we need to do this. We need to provide additional housing options for young people and all employees who want a walkable community, want to be able to live close to where they work. And this is what employers require. And they're going to go to states that offer those opportunities. And if we don't create them for ourselves, we're going to miss the boat. And there are some exciting things. There are a lot of exciting things happening in that innovation park. And with the synergies at the university and the labs, the future is extremely bright. But we will always have to deal with those cost pressures that are driving the tax burden ever higher. And my concern in the future is that if we don't start dealing with that, we're going to continue to struggle.
Yeah, I think that's right, Mike, and I appreciate that. And Laura, I want to turn to you on the county level, right? Because it's always very challenging on the county level. As Mike pointed out, the pensions are tied to market performance to a certain extent. A large part of county revenue comes from sales tax. How are you guys looking in Nassau, and how are you managing that? And where do you see assistance being needed? And what role is business going to play in your recovery?
So, Michael, I appreciate your clear-eyed reality check there. I always find when I speak with you, you have a way of boiling things down in a very no BS way. So thank you for keeping it real. It's tough. It's been tough for us. Obviously, we are very reliant on sales tax and county government. 40% of our more than $3 billion budget is sales tax. So in March, April, May, we saw sales tax go down, plummet 30–40%. It's actually come back stronger than we had projected. So that's good news. I guess people are staying local. Things like, jewelry stores are selling really well. The more affluent, can't go to Paris, honey, but here's a Rolex, and they're buying them in Nassau County. That's good for us. We're trying to encourage local business, local shopping as much as possible, working with our chambers in a very granular way as much as possible. But in the meantime, we had to deal with our budget issue. Unlike the federal government, we can't just keep printing money. We have to have a good budget every single year. So we, number one, using all of the tools in our toolbox, we have refinanced our debt at a very good rate. So that's going to save us hundreds of millions of dollars. So that will help close the gap. I've been pretty fiscally disciplined since I got into office in January 1, 2018. So we got into the pandemic with a surplus of $112 million. So that gave us a bit of a cushion. That helped as well. We're just going to keep that fiscal discipline going, refinancing the debt. And then, of course, we have to think to the future about how we handle a lot of the problems that Michael just brought up. Young people leaving, this is something that I feel like we've been talking about forever. But creating the kinds of downtowns, the kind of housing opportunities that young people like, walkable downtowns. And we don't control zoning on the county level, but working with our town partners, our village partners, our city partners to encourage this. We've got the Nassau County IDA, which is doing a fantastic job, working well with developers, helping calm relations between developers and labor. which is really important, making those relationships and also calming down the public to say that tax incentives are a good thing because it is a competitive marketplace. People can set up a business in Texas or in South Carolina or in Utah for nickels compared to what they have to do on Long Island. So we need to give them incentives. Right now we have in Syosset, Amazon is going to do a last mile distribution center. And folks in the community are saying, well, why should they get an IDA deal? It's the richest man in the world, biggest company in the world. Everyone's buying stuff on Amazon. It's ridiculous. Well, I've been on many Chamber of Commerce calls with folks in the area saying, but you've got to remember, it's still hundreds of jobs in a place where there's nothing and has been nothing for decades. It's the old Zero Wire, which you may know about. So it will, with any IDA deal, it will be significantly more money coming into the school district and coming into local government than is coming now. It's creating jobs and they can go anywhere. They've decided that this is a good place for them. Let's keep them here. Let's do what we have to do to keep them here. But we have to sell that. Pilots get a bad rap. The bigger ways to the big developers. You saw what happened at the Amazon debacle, that sort of thing. We have to do a good job of making sure that the IDA deals are accountable, that the developers or whomever, the business folks are accountable for the economic development processes, and then sell that to our residents as, look, this is jobs, this is growing the tax base. So our budget's good, by the way. I didn't have to raise taxes. I haven't raised taxes since I got in office. We're not cutting services. We're just continuing fiscal discipline, got rid of some vacant positions, just keep streamlining as much as we possibly can because, we can't raise taxes in a time like this, especially. So we're good. We've made it. And I'm not going to bore you with my sob story about the town of Hempstead getting more than half of our CARES money. Don't worry. I won't go there. We're managing, so we'll get it done.
Good. I've been following it pretty closely. You're doing a really good job over there. Really nice job with your fiscal budget. So congratulations for that. I want to go around and sort of get everybody's final final thoughts. Lee, I'll start with you, and just 2 minutes or so on final thoughts.
Well, first off, as far as Mike Fitzpatrick's two Albany analogies, I much preferred the horse and jockey at 350 pounds as opposed to the tide going out and finding out who's not wearing any trunks. But yes, I agree with Laura. Mike is always an amazing special guest to have here, to be candid, no BS. Congratulations to Senator Matera. I look forward to working with you in this new capacity. Laura, even though we're here in Suffolk, we're all fellow Long Islanders, so we're all in so many of these efforts together, and it's great that you're here for today's call. And to Joe, great job as always moderating. HIA to the board. Rich, good luck. Congratulations on your new position. And even though this is a once a year event that has been highly successful year after year with a great turnout in person and this year on Zoom, what's most important is that we're able to get a lot done working together in between. So stay in touch with me, my office, all of us. Let us know. Good communication's vital here. Let us know what you need to be successful. And I look forward to joining you again next year. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, and we appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Senator Matera, so what your final thoughts? But what do you think your biggest priority is going to be now that you're up in Albany?
Well, I'm going to tell you, getting your feet wet, and again, I appreciate HIA Long Island for having this Zoom. I'm better in person. This Zoom, for some reason, it's never something good for me lately. But because I really am a hands-on person. I love seeing people. I love your breakfasts, that when you go to the breakfast, but top priority right now is really COVID-19. We got to get the confidence back with everybody, all our residents. We need to make sure that people, again, I am not upset, that when you see the prime trucks driving all over the neighborhoods and this night dropping off, we need to get people back out, the confidence to get back out to our stores. I'm very, very concerned about our see-through stores. I'm concerned about the vacancies that I'm praying that we're not going to have. I want people to get back out in the communities, local shoppers, make sure we promote our our restaurants, our businesses, our retails, because right now the drop shipping is really, really taking over. And everybody here on this call understands that. When I go home and I see all those packages on my front step or in my mailbox, I get a little upset because I want everybody to get out. People working from home, that's another thing. This COVID-19 vaccines is so important to get the confidence back so we get our workers back out to work. You know what? One thing about construction, very important. Construction is the backbone of the economy. This infrastructure, to make sure we have the infrastructure in place, especially what's happening with Suffolk County, to only be 30% sewered. We need to be, the rest of the 70%, we need to make sure that we sewer properly and make sure it's going to protect our environment and it's going to protect our precious water supply. So things like this is so important. The number one concern is getting our workforce back out to work, getting them back to their jobs, getting out, making sure they're getting their breakfast, lunch, and dinners or whatever to support our local communities, because all this is suffering. Our delis are suffering. Everything is suffering. So that's my goal. And I applaud and commend Innovation Park for what you do. We are going to be a partnership. We're going to work together. I know, I'm always a phone call away, whatever we need to do to work together. So that's our goal. Our goal is COVID-19 to get everybody back out to working and to make sure that our businesses are thriving. So that's one thing that I feel positive about for 2021. One thing that I did my first bill with a salt tax. I don't know what's going to happen with the federal government with this, but the salt tax, it's a $10,000 relief for our businesses to make sure that they can finally write off with their taxes. So that's something that already went put in place. So again, it's going to be interesting times up in Albany. I'm going to be working with our Assemblyman Fitzpatrick. He's been a mentor to me to work together. And again, we are going to work together. We're a partnership. And I really, really appreciate HIA for what all you guys do. And again, Rich, good luck being a new chairman. Joe, thank you so much for what you've done. But I know you're still all that you're there. Everybody, the board of directors, you guys do an amazing job. And best wishes for our Jack Coker for, please, hopefully a speedy recovery.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Michael?
Yeah. Again, thanks to everyone, for hosting this, and best wishes to everybody, especially you, Rich, and Jack at home. To me, we're going to have not a rough year, but it's going to be a challenging year because of the rollout. And I think, the supply, as they ramp up the production and as the new vaccines come on the market, things will start to get better. And I do think we need to open as much as we can, as fast as we can, following the science and the guidelines, et cetera. Tomorrow, a group of us are going to get together to ask the governor to please reopen school sports. Laura's been active on that one. It's necessary to get the kids engaged because this is not a good situation for their well-being. But I have to say, I want to compliment some of my governmental colleagues for the help that they've given me and others. I've had to reach out to Steve Ballone for help. He was there, and I'm sure Lauren does the same thing over in Nassau. But there's one unsung hero here who I think has been outstanding and deserves recognition, and that is Teresa Santoro from the governor's office. I have called her many, many times, and she has always been there from the very beginning of this pandemic, and she has been working overtime to help all of us. And I think she deserves a tip of the hat and a thank you for everything that she's done. But I'm optimistic. I think, look, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we're getting closer to the end of that tunnel. And I am excited about the Innovation Park, and especially the overlay district. A priority of mine and Mario's is we have a request from the town to get 50 plus acres of parkland alienation for the town's recreational needs, and that'll help the residents of the new overlay district when they go in, when they finally move in as well. And also our infrastructure needs. Mario and I have been working with Steve Engelbright, who's a dear friend and an old basketball nemesis of mine, and we've worked very closely to try and provide an alternative or a potential alternative for our sewage needs up in the St. James and the general Smithtown area, and he's been very helpful. And if we can get the Environmental Bond Act up for a vote, that would be helpful for our goal there. But I just ask people to be patient. We've all gotten calls. People are upset. They're mad at the governor. They're mad at us. They're mad at everybody. But it's our obligation as leaders to help educate and help people understand why it's taking as long as it is. We are trying to move things faster as much as we possibly can. But we'll get through this. But I think the next probably 9 months to a year is until we get enough people vaccinated. It's going to be a continued difficulty, but getting a little bit better each week.
Great. Thanks, Mike, and thanks for all the hard work that you do. And County Executive Card, we'll have you make your close it out for us.
Joe, thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. The HIA, thank you, Terry. Congratulations, Rich, Chairman Human. Well done. This has been great. I like Mario, I prefer in person. I think I'm more of it'll be interesting to see if when we go to those breakfasts or there's cocktail parties, are we going to be comfortable talking to each other? Are we going to be shaking hands? Will there be the hugs? I don't know. How will we unscare ourselves? That's going to be an interesting process to see unfold. I think these kinds of conversations are incredibly important. And you see on this panel, you have Republicans, you have Democrat, you have Nassau, you have Suffolk, and we may have disagreements about certain things, but at the end of the day, we want our businesses to succeed because we know if our businesses succeed, that's good for all of us. It's good for the schools. It's good for infrastructure. It's incredibly important that these vital parts of our economy are humming as much as they possibly can. And our job, while we often, I will say, make it difficult, our job is to try to make it easier, to make it easy as possible. And sometimes you find that the folks who are making policy haven't run a business. They don't know what it's like to make payroll or to pay rent or to follow all of these regulations. And so connecting for elected officials to connect with business leaders, regular mom and pop business folks, whoever it may be, I think is very important because it gives us a reality check and it helps us do our job better, which is to help you. So I just want to say one more thing about the schools and keeping them open and school sports. Michael, I couldn't agree with you more. We know that school right now is the safest place for kids in terms of COVID. They've done a fantastic job. I think the same thing would happen on the fields because they would be under supervision. They would follow the guidelines. Right now, what's happening with kids is not healthy. So I am 100% behind that initiative. So thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to coming back.
Great, and thanks for being with us. And I just want to say on behalf of the entire HIA-LI and the business community, thank you to all our elected officials. I mean, you guys certainly don't get thanked enough. You're not doing what you do for the pay, that's for sure. But we really appreciate the hard work and the commitment that you have and the tough jobs. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough environment right now. But here on Long Island, we're very aware of what good, hardworking people you are and how much you care about our businesses and our families. So thank you very much for all of that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Terry Lisi Maselli.
Thanks, Joe. And ditto. I mean, as I listen to what you're saying, we are so grateful to have all of you on Long Island fighting the fight and understanding that the priority right now absolutely is to get people vaccinated, back to work, and most importantly, keeping it real and really having these types of discussions. You know, we know it's the only way that things get done. We know it's the only way that we come up with active solutions. So thank you again. And thank you to our members. We don't take it lightly that we are all working every single day to keep business alive, and you're doing that on the home front. So we appreciate it. We ask all of you to join us February 10th for our next program that'll be talking about tradable industries in the tradable sector and how much business they give back to Long Island. So everybody stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend, and we hope to see you again soon. And yes, we will be hugging you when we come back, we hope. Yes? Have a great weekend, everyone.
Great job. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.